Need some more water. One time for your mind, two times for your drinks. I hope y'all drinking some good water, preparing for the holiday season. And tonight is a very, very, very good show where you can learn something new, maybe learn something that you need to be reminded of. It is Nightcap Knowledge. We put something on your head before you go to bed. And tonight we will do just that. It's Law Talk on Nightcap Knowledge. We've got attorney Dennis Sweet IV in the building. Sweet and Associates based in Jackson, Mississippi. So tune in, tap in, share this live. If you got your law questions, your legal questions, we will do our best to get all of those questions in. It's Nightcap Knowledge, hosted by yours truly, DJ George, Shuck, and Mr. Mac. Every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central, right here, live on No Chaser. So share this live. Let us know where you're coming from in the comments. And it's time to get this show started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Nightcap Knowledge. I can't even see your funk face. What you got? What you got going on, man? God, leave me. God.
Had to make sure we can move it back, bro. Man, had to make sure we can move it back, man.
There you go. There you go.
What's the deal, Pickle?
Everything's kosher. Everything's kosher. Hey, how you
Good,
feeling?
Sir. Hey, man, I'm good. As the old folks say, I'm still here.
Look, I'm gonna bring my dad into the conversation. My dad will be like, "I'm kicking, but not high." Hey, but in my case, I'm kicking, and that motherfucker still high. Goddamn it!
Hey, we saw that. We saw that. Chuck still got the high knee.
Oh yeah, I got high knee and high back.
Right. High knee and high back, not low back.
Yeah. I think Dennis Sweet always had the high knee, high back. Shout out to the $4 from 01.
Hey,
you gonna get me for that one. You gonna get me for that one.
Oh yeah, he gonna come in. He was like, man, hey man, for those who just tuned in, this show is rated Black and Uncensored, real talk, real issues, real solutions. We're gonna tell it like a TI is. And Chuck, you just made me thought about something. What are some phrases that people have replied back when you ask them, "Hey man, how you doing?" I just think of some people that have a specific way they reply back, that they only ones that they say it. Like Mr. Frank Figures, I use a teacher, right? Baba Figures, he definitely gonna teach you. Mr. Figures, how you feeling? And he said, better than I deserve. That's his reply every time.
Yeah.
So So then we got OG Triple OG from
Uh,
Tougaloo at the gate. I mean, how you feeling today? I don't know yet.
what the
That's
hell?
his answer every time I ask him. How you feeling today? I don't know yet.
So
What?
the question is, at what point will you know?
Hey, so what are some replies that you have heard? If you in Mississippi or any of the other southern states, there
Yeah.
are some there are some things that people say you have you looking like what?
So let's do this. Let's do this right now. So for everybody out there watching Nightcap Knowledge right now, you tuned in, tapped in. What is your go-to phrase? Or you like your immediate knee-jerk reaction? Somebody asks you how you doing. Do you just like blessed and highly favored is
Yeah,
one of them that
yeah, very very popular, very popular.
very popular. Now I got one somebody. I don't even know if she want me to call her name or whatever, but when I ask her how she's doing, she says blessed and highly flavored. My response is, well, what's the flavor? And and sometimes she'll come back, she'll say, it's a little bit of Jack Honey with some lemonade in it. Or it's it's blueberry kush with a little with a little big wave on it. So look, shout out to Shermer A. Smith. I'm existing. That is there. Look, we appreciate you for tapping in, tuning in, and checking in with us. Everybody else said, how y'all doing out there, man? How y'all doing? I am uh and as my daddy would say, I'm kicking but not high. Or like you said, Mr. Frank Figures, I'm better than I deserve. What's
Yeah.
another one? What's another one, man? I'm talking about
Uh,
reach way back
oh, my,
in your Lexington bag.
my grandma's favorite was I'm doing Todd well, and what she would say is not tolerably well. She combined the two, and that's what I was so afraid. Uh,
Uh,
I'm
I got
doing tolerably well.
tolerably well. I got one.
Yeah.
Fatter
What?
middly.
That a midley.
Yeah. I'm doing a fatter middly. So like I'm fair.
Yeah.
I- I'm almost somewhere towards the middle, but I'm fatter middly.
Yeah. Let's see. What's some other ones? These things that make you think about like what are some phrases that people have responded back with, and
Or what about when you tired? Like, hey man, how you doing, man? You all right? And I'm tired as a what?
uh, there's so many different phrases. Tired. I feel like I've been making brick with no straw. That's you never heard it.
I
You know
have.
where that come from? Making bricks with no straw, baby. You tired. You tired.
Look, how about that bow-legged stripper?
Oh, tired as a bow-legged prostitute.
Yeah,
People say it's so many different phrases. So, man, it's so hot out here. It be or it's so cold. What is it? Cold as a well digger's ass.
that's
Uh,
colder than a well nigga's ass in Alaska. That's my daddy phrase right there, boy.
cold as a well digger's ass in Alaska. There's so many phrases when people ask you something, you look like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the phrases. How you know you in certain areas is by how people reply and the things that they say to you. Oh, Chuck, boy, you doing good, boy. Boy, you doing so good. If I had your hang, I'd cut mine off. If I had your hang, I cut mine off. You
Oh
doing
yeah.
good, boy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's it right there.
Now,
Well, look,
now, now
let's get some shout outs, man. Let's get some shout
what
outs.
the shout outs at? What the shout outs at, man? Where
Uh,
they at? Where they at?
well, look, we got the Higher Purpose Awards coming up, so we definitely got to highlight Higher Purpose.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
they got the tones coming, man.
Chuck
Now,
might get you in there with them, man. You might, need to hook up with the tones. Be number 4.
look, I would love to have a conversations with the tones to ask them how they were doing. Because I'm pretty sure that the tones would give us one of these responses that we're
Oh
looking
yeah,
for. Them boy
yeah,
country.
yeah, they country.
Yeah.
They, country is cowboy boots.
Well, look, man, look, we definitely want to not only shout out the tones, but we also got to shout out our Tougaloo folk,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
youth screenwriting experience. I got Maximus, man. Look, he got it going on. Make sure you check out everything that we got going on at jacksonfilmfestival.com. Lots of things that are popping for the youth and young adults. in the screenwriting area and the filmmaking. He is destined and purpose with making 100 filmmakers straight out of Mississippi. So we definitely got to get him some shout outs. And man, look, Mac, what you sipping on tonight?
Man, I don't know, brother. I think I know our friend that's coming on tonight. He's kind of changed his palate, so I thought I might join him. I think I'm gonna pull out some red wine tonight.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting,
So I
interesting.
got a couple things over here to my
So
left.
drinking some Taylor Port.
No, that's a. I don't know who brought this damn wine out of the depths of hell and made it popular, but I'm like Taylor Port has been around for so long, and usually something people skip over. And
He's just joking.
Taylor Port is a 22% wine. If you ain't never been knocked on your ass by a wine, Taylor
Taylor Port
Port
would
would
do
do
it.
it. It will
Taylor.
be the one that do it. So I might pull on me. I do have a couple of. I have some 19 crimes left, and then I
Okay.
have a Pinot Noir and a Cab to my left. So I might go back and forth, but I think I'm gonna jump out here with this 19 crimes first and
Well,
pour it up.
there you go. Ain't nothing
Give me a
wrong with
little.
that, man. I've got my new water cup I got for my birthday, so I'm having water tonight.
What water?
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm having water, and I've got a candle that I got at the Jackson Municipal Airport
Mm,
60th anniversary. So
okay.
got a little candle burning in the background, a little something,
New
something.
York City. You remember that?
Get a rope.
Get a rope.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, we have an awesome show lined up for you tonight. We got
Hey, I know
Dennis
that guy.
Fourth, Sweet and Associates, based in Jackson, Mississippi. We definitely want to give a shout out to them for their support of the show. And we've got Mr. Sweet, Attorney Sweet, coming in. Mac, uh, can you get your mental health minute lined up, man? And then we get old brother Sweet up in here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The mental health minute we've been hitting with it all year, man. We're gonna have some new things coming up for next year. It's so many different things, uh, especially when you start talking about coming into to your own and creating your own. And so, older but good is gonna always be your best you. So be who you are, right? As my big
Yeah,
mom would say, I am who I am, teeth and tongue. People might not like it, but you be who you are. You can learn to better yourself without changing who you are. Embrace your talents, embrace those things that make you different. And sometimes I will use the term like be your own weird, but it's okay to be different. Be the person that you are, and embrace that. Use those skill sets to benefit the things that you're doing in life. Don't be ashamed. Be your best you.
yeah,
So you want to continue to elevate yourself and what you're doing, and continue to be who you are. But again, can't be anybody else, right? You can't measure yourself compared to anybody else. If you're trying to get back in shape, you can't say, "Well, I'm in good shape for folks my age." Are you in the best shape that you could be? You know, or are you trying to? Well, other folk my age doing this. Do
mm-hmm.
the other people your age have the problems that you might have? You be the best you that you could be for yourself. So that's my mental health minute.
That's all right, man. Mr. Max Mental Health Minute is brought to you by Hemp World South and Therapeutic Lounge. No medical card needed. You can show up at Hemp World South. You can pull up. You can get your massage. You can get all of that, man. Mississippi's first therapeutic hemp CBD relaxation lounge right there in South Jackson. You can check out Hemp World South Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. South Jackson, link tree / Hemp World South for more information. Matt, let's get brother Sweet up in here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The swollest attorney we know. That dad blasted Dennis Sweet. There you go. Let's bring him to the stage.
Look at him. Look at him. Oh man, he got the little shirt on. He got
Represent for the loot, baby. Represent for the loot. Let's go.
Starting already. Y'all starting already, I see.
Look, you know we gonna have fun. You know we gonna.
hey man, hey man, listen. Go ahead and pay it. Pull back so people can see the rest of your shirt.
My shirt. It's just a little too loose shirt, man.
Hold on, dude.
Don't worry about it. Chuck got you. Chuck got you, man. Hey man, we got to take care of our folks. Man, we have all been we as Dr. Smith said that you would meet people in college because college 50% education, 50% socialization. And they will go on to be so many different folks in life. They will be your friends, they will be your attorneys, your doctors, your dentists, whatever they may be. And that
Yeah,
has been nothing but the truth that he said. When people start thinking about, well, who would you call? I'm like, oh, I got plenty of attorneys. I had a
yeah.
pre-law society full of folks that were became attorneys, and they are my friends, and I would definitely highly recommend them for different things, man. So it's definitely good. So for somebody that might be on a rock or in another state that might not know who you are, uh, let them know who you are and what you do.
Okay. First of all, peace, brothers. Y'all got on me a little bit. I heard you talking about me hopping truck. You know, I'm a hot dog now. Don't do me like that. The
Hey,
slow dogs, we
set it
got it
out.
too. Hey, well, you know the way these knees set up. I don't know about setting it out right now, but
Oh,
I got
you got it. We can still get in there. We got like two per year
yeah,
max.
yeah. I'm still holding on to mine for this year. Yeah, but okay, I'm Dennis Sweet, the fourth. My dad is Dennis Sweet the third. Some people think he has four sons named Dennis, and I'm the fourth one. It's just one. It's just one. I'm the one and only. But I've been practicing with my dad for 16 years, teaching at Tougaloo for over 10 years. Um, been instructing at Brown University for the last. This will be my third year at Brown. I do civil rights work and criminal defense, personal injury. Um, I'm into health. I love everything health, everything mental health and wellness. Those are my main hobbies is doing anything that I can to further my knowledge in health and further my own personal health goals and aspirations. And I've been knowing Chuck and Mac for it seems like forever, over 20 years now.
It's
So
definitely
it's good to know people in high places. Glad to be on, and hopefully I have some knowledge that I can share to the masses.
Well, Doc, look, we appreciate you for being here, and even when knowing people, when we are not on the yard together, and we don't spend as much time as we used to, we find out things through these conversations and the platform that we've been able to build here with Nightcap Knowledge and Black Communicator. You hear your friends that are instructors and they are running their own business. So, it's one thing to say that, you're an attorney, you went through law school and then you're practicing. But it's a different thing to hear your friend, the person that you came up in the dorm with, to say that they've been practicing law with their father and they're teaching at your alma mater, your fellow alma mater, and then to hear this is news for me to hear that you're now teaching at Brown. So I know about the pre-law program, and shout out to Charles Holmes. But Sweet, give us some information about the classes that you're teaching, not only at Tougaloo but also at Brown.
Okay, well, at Tougaloo, it was a mock trial I've been teaching for a long time, probably about 13 years, and that's just what it is. We do mock trial competitions, teach the students how to do opening statements, cross-examine witnesses, closing statements, and they do a whole trial. And I try to get them some practice against some MC law students,
Mhm.
and Ole Miss law students, and anywhere I can find law students that'll help out. And I think it's been good for my students. I've taught so many over the years. It's funny now. I see a lot of my students in the courtroom. I see them see go up against them, and I sneak and tell them, I taught you everything that you're doing now. You got that from me. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool seeing your former students actually in courtroom and practicing law and going up against me. It's pretty cool. I also teach a disaster class, a class that talks about the policies and procedures behind natural disasters. So I started teaching that at Tougaloo, and then the Brown coursework is an extension of that, where I go into the laws and the policies and the practices of disaster relief, FEMA, Stafford Act, anything dealing with politics and laws that are changing, anything dealing with disasters and the policies behind it. So it's a little bit of my teaching background. And the funny thing is, I believe I kind of just manifested my whole life. I really believe in the power of the mind. And I remember like sitting in Tougaloo, sitting in class saying, I'm gonna teach up here one day, and just visualizing it. And then one day I was driving to class and pulling on campus, and I'm like, I'm seeing now what I visualized 20 years ago, not only from
Yeah.
being a teacher, but also to being a lawyer. It's like I saw all this play out, and now I'm living it, and it's like the power of manifestation is real, because what I'm living is exactly what I had envisioned in my head 20 years ago. So
That's beautiful.
Man, you see me shaking my head because it's like what Chuck just said. It took you coming on here to
For us
let
to
me
learn.
find out that you teach a class about policies and procedure around disaster relief. And we've been doing disaster relief since COVID hit and really jumped in it with both feet in 2021 when the Arctic blast hit. And one of the things we talk about educating those who are working with community is the laws and policies. One of the parts that we are talking about advocating is not just the direct action, but also the policies, procedures. Like there's so many small towns that don't know what to do. Talking about state laws, why can't they get state funding or
Right.
for disaster? Why they area didn't become, become declared a disaster area? All those things, and we actually have a gathering that's happening in January where some of the other environmental organizers are going to be here because we are able to respond a lot of times quicker than the city, county, and
Mhm.
definitely the state because we don't have as much red tape. We don't have as many resources. We don't have as many people, but we can respond a lot quicker because we just can move some funds, or if we have stuff, and we can go ahead and go to work. And but that's great information. Sweets, I need to check with the date and see because people need to know that. Those of us that are working, Chuck, all of us been in disaster relief mode. We've been working and helping folks, and we had no idea. You are the brains. You are the one that could tell us what we need to know. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's an important field, especially with people of color, because we've been disserviced for a long time. And part of what I'm doing this upcoming year is looking at how we can propose some laws to the state legislature to change that. Benny Thompson he did a proposal on the national level, and it's
Mm.
pending right now. So I plan on getting some students to look at what Benny Thompson proposed and kind of mirroring that. And we're going to put a proposal together and introduce that to the state legislature here to try to shorten that gap of disparity from disparity relief.
Look, I would love because some of the work that Mac has going on through some of the organizing and actual response work. Mississippi Move, we've got our own set of principles that we live by as it relates to what we do in terms of response. But I think from some of the counties and the smaller municipalities that we've provided assistance to, in addition to your students that you're having or proposing that they offer this legislation or um this potential legislation, you could get that support from these smaller municipalities from the community level. And then, with them off the students offering the legislation, and then the community members could then put that pressure on their representatives to say, look, we need this legislation supported. So either you gonna do it or we're gonna get you up out of here.
Yeah, I think we need to network and put that together.
Yeah.
well,
'Cause like I said, it's important.
we had a game plan for 1020, and I was sharing some strategies with folks, and it just did not work out. And I'm not going to share it right now because you know I ain't trying to show my spades,
You
right?
ain't
But
doing that.
the thing is just like they are groups of folks that definitely can understand, especially is it benefiting black communities. And like I tell people, I don't get into all the things that happen in other states. Mississippi, when we start talking about racial divide, it's still black and brown, right? We got a few Hispanic populations that are in different neighborhoods. Majority of the time, it's there's a difference in response time when it comes to black community versus white communities, and especially those that have funds and money. And it's a big difference on how long it takes for this to restore. Now, of course, if it's damaging, there's a lot of damage done. Of course, you got to take the time to deal with the wires and the things, the lines that are down. But I've been calling since June about when the lightning struck down the street from our store, and I've been reporting for the last three times the energy about the pole that's there, that how it's dry rotted, and the transformers have changed colors. And when the oil gets too hot inside the transformers and they old and they get to wear out, you see that it starts to change the color of the outside of the transformer. Where now our transformer is so old that it hums.
Have mercy.
I've called several times and they're like, oh, we're gonna get somebody to come out here and check it out. Well, this is a normal thing that happens in the black community. So when a little wind comes through and
That's
something
right.
happens, the response time and tell them like this is how devastating, but it could have been prevented if you were actually doing the things that need to be done. So that's why they're important, to have positions like public service commissioner. It's important to have people that know the policies and why certain areas that get declared a disaster area and not. You know, what are the laws behind it? And I tell everybody, sometimes you might not agree with the law, but let me know what the law is, so I know how to hold folks accountable or how I need to abide by them.
Yeah.
But I look at a lot of preventative measures, and then when people come and tell you stuff that that you told them 3 months ago that was going to happen, if they don't do something about it, then they get looking at you with that deer in headlights face. And that's what we have in a lot of our communities is prepping, trying to get folks to get ready. And then when a storm hit, uh, the response time is going to be slow because we know it's going to be slow. So that's why we're trying to make sure people know as much as possible. So, but sweet, we got to have a whole other conversation. We got to get you back on the show just to talk about environmental justice and how
Yeah.
big a role policy plays in the local work for Black communities around environmental justice. And so I need to connect you. I need to tell you about something else too that Tyson's working on once we get off. Um, so anybody in the comments, this is the time. If you have a question, if you have a legal question or you want something, this is the time to drop the comment and ask. But Chuck, you had another comment?
So what I was going to say, or ask Dennis to share with us
Mhm.
is, we're in our 40s, right?
We're in what
What
now?
we're in our 40s. Uh,
All right.
Do you not identify as a 40-year-old? Am
I
I?
didn't hear.
Oh, my bad. My
No,
bad.
I'm proud. I'm proud to be 40, man.
You sure Sweet not a lot 38 or 39 because he's a lot younger than
I'm
everybody.
younger than y'all. I'm a lot younger than y'all. Y'all in
See,
y'all 40s. I'm 40. This is
All right, now that we done got comedian Sweet out the way, coming to you live from the Laugh Box in Jackson, Mississippi. Uh, what I was gonna ask you, dog, is as we are approaching 40s, or as we abide within, what are some of the things that we need to be concerned about legally, like in terms of legal documents that the average black man or black woman person, what have you, what are some of the things that we need to have in place as we are approaching either at us as an individual or for our families?
it's always good to have a will. We don't like to think about our mortality, but it's real. So you need to make sure that you have your loved ones situated, and I would suggest a good insurance policy to go along with that, to make sure that everyone is taken care of. Um, Outside of a will and estate planning, um, you just want to make sure that you have your life together. Your everything that you have for your taxes, your businesses, just any general thing for life. But at this age, we need to start thinking about estate planning and wills and estates. And I don't personally do family law. I have put some wills together, but I do think people need to get the advice from an attorney.
Right.
You want to make sure that you get someone who specializes in wills and estates. And one way to do that is to call the Mississippi Bar and ask them for a wills and estate attorney. And they'll give you a laundry list of them, and then you can call them one by one to find someone that you feel comfortable with. But you don't want to just go to a criminal defense lawyer and ask them about will stuff. You don't want to go to a tax lawyer, about wills and estates. And I think that's a issue. A lot of people, when people see lawyers, they have legal questions and they just want to ask. But a lawyer is almost kind of like a doctor, right? If you have a heart problem, you're not going to want to go to a dermatologist, So it's the same thing with lawyers. Lawyers specialize in certain things. And even though we can give general advice, you don't want to take the important stuff. You don't want to just get general advice. You want to get someone who specializes in that. So get you a wills and estate attorney and start putting your estate and your funds together so that your loved ones will be taken care of.
That's a good point. I like what you said about attorneys having a specialty or a particular focus. With you bringing that up, and I know you mentioned that you do a lot of things around civil rights in terms of your work outside of the classroom. What are some of the things that you're working on right now that our listeners, our viewers might be interested in?
Well, the case that's going on right now, the most high profile case is the Dexter Wade, a young man who was he was hit by a off-duty Jackson police officer, and
Okay.
very very sad story. He was buried, murdered. The cause of death was an accident, but essentially murdered, and they took his body and buried it in a pauper's grave behind the jail. Didn't notify the family. The mother did a missing persons report.
Mm-hmm.
She did a missing person report as soon as he was missing. So they knew that there was a missing person report for the man, and they still didn't do anything. No due diligence, no cross check. He had his driver's license in his pocket. He had credit cards in his pocket. So there's no excuse to say that they didn't know who he was. In the accident report, they had his name, so they knew who he was. Didn't notify the family, and buried him. And it's such a sad case that it's almost hard to believe. And we're still looking for answers in that case. We're gonna file a lawsuit and hold the city responsible, get the officers in court, subpoena the documents, and try to see what happened, where they dropped the ball. And that case is very important to me because I know the family very well, because I represent the family in another civil rights case with a man named George Robinson. He was, this happened about 3 years ago, and he was hit in the head by the police. It was pronounced to be a homicide, and we ended up filing a civil lawsuit. And the DA's office actually picked up the case, and they tried one of the officers. They actually tried 3 of the officers, but one of them was found guilty of manslaughter, and he's currently incarcerated right now. So the work that we did, in the civil case is we do things called depositions, where you actually question the officers, and we questioned these officers, and of course that put them on the scene. They couldn't excuse their actions, and we believe that a lot of that testimony led to them being able to be prosecuted. And I think that's what the kind of the game plan is, to get officers prosecuted. If you can do the civil case and you can do discovery and you can get that information, then that's information that can be used in a criminal case as well. The civil matter is still ongoing, but the criminal prosecution, he appealed it, but he's incarcerated right now. And I have several other police involved cases that we've had officers indicted. We've had a lot of settlements. We've had verdicts. Got a $1.5 million verdict in a case a couple of years ago, a civil rights case. And they're just sad. And they're so sad. I honestly don't know a lot about civil rights cases outside of the ones that I work on,
Yeah.
because it's too draining. It's too traumatic to deal with the cases I deal with, and then on top of that, watch the videos of other cases. I've never seen the George Floyd video. I never seen any of the videos when I see them come across my timeline. I just scroll fast and keep going.
Yeah.
I just can't take all that in, because it's sad and it's a lot. But those are some of the main ones I'm working on now, and hopefully we can get some justice. We're gonna keep fighting. Attorney Ben Crump is working on the case with us. I worked with him before on several other frat, of course, and worked with him on several other cases. So, I think we're gonna get some justice because we got some heavy hitters. Me, my dad, and Ben Crump. We can't get it done. It can't get done. So we on it.
Mac, don't you be over there shaking your Sigma ass head about these Omega men doing what needs to be done.
Man, I ain't said nothing to none of y'all. I don't even know what you're talking about. I
Hey
was
man,
just,
oh, let me
I just
move
say,
my phone out the way so you can see this fine piece of fraternity paraphernalia.
Julie.
Yes, sir.
Uh, but there was another case similar to the one that Sweet just talked about, where they found another gentleman that was buried. But one of my classmates has been posting about her son, and posting. This is one of my classmates from school of social work, and the way they talked to her when she was talking about her son was no criminal record, every day going to work guy, no problems, grown 200-pound man missing, and
Mm-hmm.
she's begging for help now. And the was told us that the chief told her, kind of snapped at her and told her they ain't got time to look and check because they trying to investigate murders. This whole man is missing for months, and you tell them a mother that they ain't got time because they trying to investigate these murders. So then when you looked at the report, this is how that stuff happens. She turned in all her information. She's a social worker, licensed social worker. All her information in. They have her first name and then got last name unknown. So this is currently. We just shared her stuff on Facebook 2 days ago. So if you're trying to contact her, you couldn't contact her because whoever did the initial report has her first name and then had last name unknown.
Mm.
And it's sad because this is right here in the middle of the city, and we don't know. She hadn't heard anything yet. Had nobody said anything. They had someone that had some information they were trying to call, and they couldn't even get the officers and folks to call them back. They was trying to report, and this is important to me. Why? Because this just happened similar to my cousin. Um, my cousin a year ago, where the state troopers had her car towed immediately after the accident happened, because this is a little thing that they said that they do. They tow folks' cars and make you pay the tow truck to get it. So her
Yeah.
car hadn't been on the road for a full 24 hours before they towed it. And her murder, we're saying that because she wasn't there.
Right.
They said that she was there, but how much the body had decomposed doesn't line up with the timeline that she had been missing. But he never filed a report of an accident, damage to the front and back of the car. License and gross was in the car, and he just kind of just swept it under the rug. It's and that goes back to what I heard my brother Hollis. Um, he didn't just do civil rights work; he did human rights work,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of this is inhumane and how people are being treated. You have no level of compassion for families and treating these folks like a human. This is inhumane. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a civil rights cases, but this is inhumane that you would treat another person like this, regardless of what the case may be, and not contact the families or not handle it the way you want someone to handle yours. And but the sad part about it, Chuck and Sweet, that this happens way too often. We got tons of cases where we can tell you that this is happening and nothing is happening about it. So, um, matter of fact, anybody that's out there listening, this is your time. If you got some situations like that, this is the guy that you need to talk to. If you got some things like this is the time to jump in the comments and say some of the extra questions because this is a real situation that happens way too often, right up under our nose, and no one does anything about it.
Yeah, it's hundreds of bodies in that grave. It's hundreds of unknown, unidentified bodies they haven't made any contact with. It's no excuse for it. Hundreds of bodies back there, and you know, this case came to be, like I said, because this family was already dealing with the death of a loved one, and this family has been at every court hearing.
Yeah.
They've sat through depositions. They've gone to set through a whole trial, you know, and JPD has been there every step of the way. So they know who this family is.
Right.
They know who Miss Wade is. They know who her son is. He had his driver's license on his body. They knew his name. And she did a missing persons report. So just to say, I don't know what the excuse is. There is no excuse. And we haven't heard, we haven't gotten an apology, you know, from the city. Nothing. They haven't reached out to the family to apologize, to try to make things right with them. Nothing. Haven't heard from them. And they just ran the boy over. Hit him with a car, police car, ran him over, and just threw his body in the grave. This is how we treating our citizens. This man's from Jackson. He was killed by Jackson police.
Yeah.
Thrown in a grave in rain. That's how we treat our own people. And then we talk about unsolved murders. You know, I saw this ABC special, I think it was ABC, that did had all these families or all these mothers with all these kids who've been murdered and they were gone unsolved. So to say that they're spending their time investigating, they're not even doing that. We got more unsolved bodies. And then if you look at the crime rate, the murder rate in Jackson was, I saw statistics saying we were #1 in the country, maybe up there in the world. Our murder rates was sky high. Then all of a sudden, you start seeing the murders kind of come down a little bit, but then all of a sudden you see all these bodies in the grave.
Yeah.
Are the bodies in the grave murders that aren't being reported? Why aren't they being reported? Is it because our crime rate's so high we got to bring the crime rate down? I mean, what's really going on?
Yeah.
And the thing is, we don't know. And since we don't know, we're left to assume. Because we haven't heard anything from the city. So we have to assume. What do they want us to assume? Are they killing us? Is the city killing us on purpose? They hiding bodies?
And sweet. So one of the ways that we can attempt to curb some of this behavior is by taking legal action to get bad actors, police officers, and whole city officials accountable, so that when we hit them in their pockets, because you have to pay a settlement in these suits, right?
Well, the way the law is, the law is so bad. Civil rights law is one of the hardest areas of laws to practice.
Okay.
And it's one of, especially in Mississippi. And you know, I've hit their pockets before, but they got a limit. They got a $500,000 cap in the city. So I had a case, Miss Harrion, Helen Ruth Harrion, it was a case I had some years ago where the JPD came. She called in a prowler. She said there's a prowler outside my house.
Talking about Miss Harrion from Tougaloo? Her daughter worked at Tougaloo? Yeah.
Daughter works
Yeah.
Daughter Angela works at Tougaloo. So her mother, and I'm gonna tell the story fast. I don't want to leave stuff out, but I don't want to take up all your time with stories. She called and said there was a prowler outside her house. When JPD came to the house, they knocked on the door and they just left. They didn't try to break in the door. They didn't try to go through a side door. They didn't stay there. They left.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't try to call back to see what happened. They just left. When they left, the prowler, he was in the house. He raped her and killed her and threw the body outside. She was anally raped, vaginally raped, and murdered in her home. He confessed and said in his statement that he knew the coast was clear when he saw the police leave. He was sitting there, look, when they knocked on the door, he was looking at the peephole at him. He said when he knew that he said, once I saw the police leave, I knew I could have my way and do what he wanted to do. That's what he said in his confession.
God damn.
So we sued and got the whole 500,000 from JPD because on that case, we actually got 1.5, but the million, the Supreme Court overthrew because they said the cap is 500 and there's no constitutional violation. That's what the Supreme Court of Mississippi said. The jury found it. The jury said there was, and they granted 1.5. The Supreme Court threw out the 1 and gave the family the 5. So that took about 7 to 8 years to get that money, and that 500,000 is not going to change. Of course, it's not going to bring her back, but I only believe it hurts the city like enough. And the reason why is because they're protected by these laws, these archaic laws. I'll give you a brief history on how these laws work.
Come on with it.
We get our law from England, right? It's called England Common Law, also referred to as the Queen's Law. America was established from settlers from the Queen's land, and they came to America and set up their law under the Queen's Law. Okay, the Queen's Law, rule number 1. Let me ask y'all a question. If y'all are kings and you got a country, what's rule number 1 of your rule of your country? What's rule number 1? Just pop quiz. What would your rule be? Don't kill the deer. Don't murder. Don't. What rule number 1?
Pay your taxes to the king.
That's a good one. That's probably number 2.
Okay.
Rule number 1 is you can't in the Queen's court. You cannot sue the Queen in the Queen's court.
That's some bullshit.
Okay? That's rule number 1. Before the Queen had any other rules, she said, before we do anything else, you can't come for me. You can't come for my money.
That sounds a lot like Donald Trump.
So when America, you got it from somewhere.
When America created their laws, they took that same principle and said you cannot sue the government in the government's
court.
Right. But they said they're gonna give you two exceptions. Rule number 1 is if there's a constitutional violation. So that sounds easy, but it's extremely hard to prove a constitutional violation.
Yeah.
If they did something to violate you constitutionally, and I kind of get into that a little bit with these cases. Number 2 is if the state gives you permission. Okay, so that falls on every state because every state creates their own laws. So to sue someone under civil rights in Mississippi, if you're going to do it federally, then you have to show a constitutional violation. If you want to do it in the state, then you have to show a violation under the Mississippi Tort Claims Act. So you have to show reckless disregard. So we'll get to that in a little bit. The federally, constitutionally, is you have to say that there was a constitutional violation. The normal one that people sue under is going to be the 4th Amendment, which is your right to be free from illegal searches and seizures. Okay, so if a police shoots you, that's a seizure because he's shooting you to take your body. So if they shoot you unlawfully, then you can sue them in federal court for a constitutional violation.
Okay.
So we did a constitutional violation for Ms. Harrigan, saying that the police had a duty under the 14th Amendment for equal protection of the laws. Okay. And if they're going to provide a service, then they have to do it equally and justly. Right. So it's also a failure to act, police failing to act. So essentially, say one police officer sees another police officer shoot someone, which I had a case like that. The city police saw the county shoot someone. So I shoot the county for shooting them, and I shoot the city for failing to act. And I got to sustain both of them. So if you can show a failure to act, you can show a constitutional violation. In Ms. Harrigan's case, the Supreme Court said there was no constitutional violation because the police they didn't have no responsibility to act in the first place. So there was no constitutional violation. So they threw that claim out.
So
they said, the police did not have a duty to react or respond or even to come out to a call. That's what the Mississippi Supreme Court said.
So someone calls the police and they come out.
Right.
She called the police, right?
Right. And said there's a prowler outside.
There's a prowler outside. That's right.
And the person that calls, when you get there, don't answer the door. So 2 and 2 don't equal 4. That maybe this person is in distress. because that's the same thing they use when they want to bust into somebody's house and you stand at the door. I think I hear somebody in need. And they use that terminology. Help me if I'm wrong, sweets, to go bypass folks to get into people's houses when they trying to find out what's going on and they don't have an active search warrant. Because if someone's
Right.
life is in danger and they're in that house and they are screaming for help or something like that, that gives them justification to
Right.
go in.
Exigent circumstances gives them a right to
There
do
we
that.
go.
That's right.
So you trying to tell me that you can do that when you want to search somebody's house, but you come to knock on somebody's door after they done called until there's a prowler outside, and you don't think that, hey man, we need to do a welfare check. And I would say this, that after that happened, Grandmaster Horton stated we didn't do what we supposed to have done.
That's right.
And after he said that, he was gone.
And
Yeah.
He said it.
they changed their policy. They changed their policy now too.
Yeah,
They changed their whole not policy behind that case. So we were able to get them to change the policy. But the problem is you have to do all that. We have to be in litigation for 8 years. You got to
Yeah.
sue them. And now they finally changed their policy, but only after that. And now they should have changed it to honor Miss Herring. You
Right.
know, that they could have came and settled with that family very early on. And
Right.
when I say settle, I'm not just talking about money. A lot of times these families not even looking for money. People look at me as a civil rights attorney. I can make money doing a lot of stuff. Civil rights law is not a money type law. Okay.
Yeah.
I graduated at the top of my class in GW law. I can go work at all kind of different law firms and make all kind of money. Civil rights ain't where you make money. Okay. You do it because you have a love and a passion for it. Doing civil rights, a lot of these families don't even want money. They just want the city to come say we sorry. They just want the city to acknowledge that they messed up.
Right.
Name
They want action so that this particular thing does not happen again.
exactly. Miss the Harriet family, if they would have just came and said, "Look, we're gonna change the policy and we're gonna donate that same 500 that we're gonna donate some money into police training and we're gonna name it the Ruth Harriet Police Training Academy, and we're gonna teach police how to properly answer a prowler call." Something, just come out and say it. But
Yeah.
all this sweeping it up under the rug and fight. You sue the city, they're gonna appeal. They're gonna appeal till they can't appeal no more. We had this case with Miss Herring, they appealed it. We got they did an interlocutory appeal, lost that. We won the case, they appealed it again. They, like I said, they sustained the state law claims through the federal out. They appealed it again, appealed it. And they finally paid when they couldn't appeal it no more. And everybody knew they was wrong in that case. Everybody knew. Nobody thought the police was right. The police knew they were wrong. But you sue them and you say that you hit them in the pocketbooks. They not the city of Jackson tell you they self-insured. They don't even have insurance when you sue them. So they got to pay it out their own pocket.
Yeah.
And but they're protected by these laws. These laws are bad. They're bad. And then the United States says a state can create their own law if you want to bring a lawsuit against the state. So Mississippi, you have the Mississippi Torts Claim Act. So you have to show that their conduct is reckless. You can't show that it's intentional. So let's say a police officer intends to shoot, let's say Matt. Police officers want to come shoot you, and they intended to do it. You cannot sue them in Mississippi for that. That's an intentional act. You can sue the police officer independently, but they probably not gonna have much you can sue them for. But you cannot sue the police station. You cannot sue the city. You cannot sue any government entity for a police acting intentionally. Okay, that's the law. That's the law in Mississippi. You cannot sue them if they act intentionally. You have to find recklessness. You have to say that they acted recklessly. If they acted intentionally, you can't sue them. They acted negligently, you can't sue them. You have to show reckless, which is it's a gray area in between intentional and negligent. And you have to find that. And if you don't fortunately, the jury found that the police were reckless in the Harriet case. That's how they were able to sustain the state law claims. But that was hard. That's a very, very minute area to find. So yeah, the law is just not set in place for the people, man. The law is set up for the government to protect the government. It's set up for these police to protect the police. That's why, you know, they feel protected with each other. That's why they sweep stuff under the rug. It's their policy. They were created under that. They were formed. Well, actually, they were formed to catch runaway slaves, but they morphed from that to what we have today, which is them still catching runaway people. We're still catching, you know, still arresting, still enslaving people by
Right.
arresting them and throwing them in jail, and they're still protected by the government the same way they were protected by the government during slavery. So we
Look, bro,
just
you are exactly right. One of the things that or one of the ways that I describe the legal system is it is a business, and if you find yourself on the receiving end of a decision as it relates to you having committed a quote unquote crime, if you find yourself on the end of that decision, you are now financially obligated to pay as much money as they want you to pay. So if you're on probation, you got to pay money. If you have if you've been, you know, convicted of a DUI, you're gonna have to pay money. Any of the things that all of it boils down to is how much money I can force you to pay. And that's beyond, you like, we ain't even got to like the jail time and all of that. I'm talking about like if you get out of jail or if you're sentenced to probation, it's about making you pay money. That's it.
yeah, and not only are you paying it to the government, you're, you know, they've privatized so much of this. You're paying it to companies and corporations. So it's just a big scheme. It's just a big scheme, and you know, it's so many people that are a part of it that don't even know, that don't even see it. It's
Yeah.
I believe a lot of police officers are good people. I believe a lot of police officers are trying to do the right thing. It only takes one or two bad ones to make everybody else look bad. But the problem is when these other police officers who are good people, who are trying to do the right thing, when they don't do anything, when they don't say anything, then they're a part of the same system that perpetuates everything that you just said and keeps that money ball keep rolling, keeps
Yeah.
that prison industrial complex keeps rolling because they're just cogs in the system. Everybody is just a cog in the system that as long as, you know, they're not being affected, they just keep it rolling until they are affected. You know, I do criminal defense work and people tell me all the time, I don't see how you can represent criminal. I don't see it. People say that all the time until they need me, you know, until they need someone. And,
Golly.
you know, and when you need me, you better hope you get me first before the other side do.
Look, we're gonna start calling Sweet. What you got? A Chevy Sweet?
I have a Jeep
Chevy,
now.
a Jeep? Oh, I'm
My
about to
dad.
call you the Chevy lawyer. You know, like the Lincoln lawyer.
Thank you for you.
You call him the Chevy lawyer because that's if you ever watched that series, that's what he talked about. He was good at his shit. He knew what to do,
Yeah.
and you rather have him on your team than be looking across the way and he's on the other person's team. You
Yeah.
know, so you got to get them while they there. We ain't have any questions, Chuck. Any comments? I mean,
We
this is
do have a couple comments.
free law advice now. Where y'all at?
We got one from Zachary Cooper. He says that he's appreciative of the work you all are doing. Do you have any like-minded, community-focused legal connections in Florida or Georgia?
Oh yeah. Um, I do. I do. I don't know if they want me to give their information out on a live
No,
stream, but I guess
Well, let's do this.
get his information. Get his information, Sweet.
What we can do, Zachary, if you will DM the Nightcap Knowledge page or the Black of No Chaser page. We see that you're on Facebook, so you're either viewing on Nightcap Knowledge or Black of No Chaser. If you would send a DM, and then we'll try to connect you and Attorney Sweet so that we can attempt to make a meaningful connection outside of this broadcast. So we thank you for that comment, and we're gonna try to get you connected with some folks in Florida and Georgia.
yeah. Thank you, Zachary. I appreciate you being appreciative of what I do, and I definitely hook you up. I got some great people in both Georgia and Florida, so we'll definitely network for sure.
Look, I think this conversation definitely is one that we will have to revisit. Um, one because we definitely need to get some updates from you in a way where you don't have to mince your words like you might have to do, or talk in sound bites like on your regular news outlets. You know that you can come here and say what you have to say without having um to hold back or to speak in. You ain't got a code switcher, you know that.
Yeah,
Your blackness and your lawyerness is safe here. I
yeah.
don't know if
And
lawyerness is a word.
it is now. It is. We defined it. It's a word. Hey, you guys check your inbox. I sent you the information about the other
That's right. That's right. I've got
other.
that pulled up, Mac. Mac, start talking about that so we can bring it up.
So this is we're saying about how serious and how things can be prevented. So she's been pushing this. This sister's posted videos of her in tears, crying, looking for her son, and has not gotten any help. And when she did get a chance to speak with the former chief, he was, from what her statements that she posted, very rude and disrespectful to her. And the only thing she's trying to do is find her son. And he's been missing. We don't know what's happening. We know that it's been quite a while, right? That this situation could have been handled a lot better because you could compassion is a one thing, right? We're talking about folks not doing what they're supposed to do, but even if you're not doing it, but having compassion to treat people like humans, that's the thing that we're talking about. So here's the information. Um, she's been posting for a long time trying to get some information. There was some information that came out, but like they had on the application, they had her name, as she put it, they had her name unknown. So what other information do you have wrong? So how would you be able to follow up with her if you came up with any information about her son if you don't have the correct last name? And that was part of her post that she shared the other day. But you know, we actually another case, we actually have that client's sister we see all the time, and she just devastated because she's still looking for her sister. It's so much happening. And the thing about Jackson is a small city, big town. So many people know each other or know of each other, and when something happens, nobody responds. You know, um, it's crazy. It's crazy, but definitely want folks to share this information. Reach out to this sister if you heard or saw anything. Because she hadn't got any updates from any of the JPD investigators or detectives, and I don't know if she got any, but as of Monday, she hadn't received any. That's why she made this post
Mm,
and,
mm,
and
mm.
more details. And you can follow her page and you see more details about. I definitely want to get her on the show so she can be able to use the show as a platform to spread more information about her son. And sweet, you talk about Miss Harriet. Before she transitioned or was murdered, I had a cousin that happened to similar, and they did not act. She was 70 plus years old. Her and her sister went to church together, and they had a routine. As soon as she get in the house from church, she would always call her sister. So time passed by, and she's like, I ain't heard from her. So they went to the house and knocked on the door, no answer. She didn't come to the door. So they called the police, went back over there. The next day, they found her under the house. Response was different. Um, and it's like, what is a senior, doing under the house? Not at the edge of the house, like you getting a tool from under the house. Like you're far up under the house.
Hmm.
So someone chased her, or she was running from somebody. But when you know patterns and you tell them, like, look, something is wrong, they always answer the phone. This is what we do, and they, however they responded, whatever the case may be. But when they did find her, she was deceased under the house. You know, it's so many things we can talk about how the ball was dropped and communication was not done.
Yeah.
Because a few years later, her brother, my other cousin, who was testifying in the case, um, they were coming to his neighborhood to talk to him about testifying. You coming to the hood, detectives coming to the hood, and everybody see him talking to detectives. And then after a while, he came, 2 weeks before he supposed to went to trial to testify on the guy that actually shot him the year before. He was murdered, and they end up having to release the guy that had shot him before. So you blew up the spot by coming through and and letting everybody see that you talking to him. And 2 weeks prior to, he wasn't protected. So there's a lot of cases where folks drop the ball and has not handled things correctly, man. So anybody else got any more comments, questions about law? Um, Definitely jump in, Fred.
Yeah, we got one more, and this will be our last one, and we'll wrap up for the night. We got brother
Oh, don't
Fred.
forget about that other business thing I sent you, Chuck, that we need to show about the
We've
human.
got brother Fred Smith. He's asking, have you had to represent any clients who you thought were incompetent to stand trial?
What's up, Fred? What's going on, Fred? Roots of the good bros. Um, no, I've never had any that I thought were was incompetent. That's a good, very good question. So basically, what incompetent means is that they're not understanding what they're hearing. They're not understanding what you're reading, what they're reading. They're not understanding your communication with them. So based on that, they can't go to trial. And I have not had that. And I think what's also important to note, there's a difference between someone being incompetent and someone being insane. Okay. And as far as insanity, every state has a different law as far as what they consider to be insane. So insanity in the legal world is not the same as someone who may be insane in a science type world. So in the legal world in Mississippi, insanity is someone who doesn't understand the difference between right and wrong. What that means, I really don't have any idea, because I don't know, who can tell you what right and wrong is. But that's the definition of Mississippi: someone who doesn't understand the difference between right and wrong. And I have had clients who had that, and what I've had to do is get them to a independent psychiatrist to do that evaluation, and that could be a defense to a crime, as insanity. Now, incompetency, I haven't had, and that's probably because I get to choose my own cases. I have the fortune that I don't do court-appointed cases. I've never been a public defender, and more power to the attorneys who are, but they take on everybody. They take them how they come.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I get to choose who I represent. So, not that I wouldn't choose anyone who was incompetent, and wasn't able to understand me, but those people usually don't make an appointment to come see an attorney. Usually, those are people who are either incarcerated or who may not have the funds to hire an attorney. Usually, the people who come seek me understand what they're doing, and that's why they come seek me, because they do understand. So I haven't had that personally. I've had some clients that I had to question and look at sideways, and I not that they weren't incompetent, but we may not have been agreeable to everything. But as far as just not understanding me,
Yeah.
I haven't had that. No. But another thing too, what lawyers have to be careful with is that in Mississippi, if you say that your client is incompetent and they do psychological evaluations on them, they will take them into custody. So if I have a client who is out on bond and not in custody, I have to make a real hard decision on if I want to bring that up, because I'm essentially turning him into the prison. I'm turning him into a criminal defense attorney. My job is to leave with my client. Every time I go to court and we walk out together, that was a win. I don't care if it's a status hearing. I don't care if it's a trial. If we go to court together, I need to leave out with you. I don't like going into court and coming out without a client. That's not my goal. So so that's something you have to be conscious of in Mississippi. If you try to say that someone's incompetent and they're out, they're gonna take them in and they're gonna do all those psychological evaluations in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections and their mental health facilities.
Well, that's you've mentioned this a few times tonight. There are some truly archaic laws that are still on the books, and God knows how many of them of these things that we have to operate within or operate within their constructs. It's like if this might be the best situation for your client, but your hands are tied as an attorney, because as you said, you want to leave with your client. The best place for your client is probably gonna be at home. But if they're not fit to stand trial, you between a rock and a hard place. Um, if you truly believe they might be incompetent, that's a tough one right there, man. That's a real tough one. So look, sweet, we brother, we appreciate you. If folks are of course, interested in talking with you or seeking your legal representation, how should they reach out to you?
My phone number, my office number is 601-750-0510. That's the easiest way to find me, is to call me. You can also just look me up online. If you search my name, my office website should come up. It'll have our email address, our mailing address, our physical address. You just type Dennis Sweet the Fourth, and you should be able to find everything.
Most definitely. And speaking of one of the businesses that we would like for you all to support, we're gonna bring up a photo. They're one of the supporters of the show tonight. That's S&J Unique Pottery Plus. We've got Stacy, her number 601-573-4554. They got Mac. You want to talk about this? Because I know you actually have one.
Yeah,
As I
yeah.
bring this photo up.
So this is a chimney. We actually bought a couple last year and donated to the homeless. This is a handmade a thing it's it's kind of it's pottery. It looks very decorative, but you can actually use it. They make them in Mexico, but you can put wood in it, set out on the on a patio, a bag or whatever. It's very decorative. It looks nice, but it's very functional. And like I said, we bought a couple of these, supporting one of the local black businesses, and donated it to the homeless. I actually got one for myself, and it's nice. It's a nice, but when you start thinking about Christmas gifts and start thinking about Kwanzaa, start thinking about things that are handmade that also can be utilized. So this is one of the things I would definitely tell folks to check out. There's a special going right now. They're usually $100. They are $80. So when you see it like that, it doesn't sit flat like that. There's a stand that you sit it on that it
Mhm.
gets it off the ground, and it does heat up. It does keep you warm. So if you looking for something to kind of add to the element, this would be a good little thing to purchase.
Most definitely. One more time for S&J Unique Pottery, and one more time for Brother Dennis Sweet the Fourth, attorney at law. Bro, we appreciate you. Really do, man.
Rule to the good brothers. Rule to the Sigmas. Peace.
Hey, look, this has been Nightcap Knowledge, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, we want to get to where the money reside, baby. So let's do that straight like this.
Wait.
This has been Law Talk with attorney Dennis Sweet the Fourth. Nightcap Knowledge hosted by DJ George Chuck, Mr. Mac, every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Make sure you hit up the Hemp World South 2-for-1 slushies every Friday. They got 50% off some of the products on Fridays, man. And they got some special stuff popping off. Also, make sure you get ready to go to the Higher Purpose Awards February 3rd, 2024, all the way up in Clark, Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Nightcap Knowledge. Put the kids to bed, and we're going to put some on your head. Let's go.